This is Johnny Vedmore on today's News Talk TNT.
Welcome back to the Johnny Vedmore Show on today's News Talk TNT. My final guest for this week is, last but not least by very far, is Dr. Frank Romano. And Dr. Romano earned his PhD at the University of Paris, Panthéon Sorbonne. He is a member of California and Marseille Bars. He represents the Palestinian people, or has represented the Palestinian people before the ICC. He is a peace and freedom activist. He has organized many demonstrations in Palestine, Israel, and the United States against the Israeli occupation. He is the author of Love and Terror in the Middle East, 5th edition. Finally, he was deported from Israel in 2019 for defending a Bedouin village, Khan al-Ahmar, from destruction by Israeli bulldozers. By participating in the Freedom Flotilla project, he feels he can be more directly involved in breaking the siege at Gaza and bringing medicine and food to starving Gazans and those in need of medicine. Finally, by doing that, he wants to help shine a light for the world to see the genocide as well as save some Gazans. Dr. Romano, thank you for your vital work and thanks for coming on the Johnny Vedmore Show to discuss it. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So a real straight in, is Israel a two-tier apartheid ethno-state which is committing controlled, focused and organized genocide, or am I mistaken?
Unfortunately, you're not mistaken. It's been clear for a long time. In fact, people don't understand. The light is shined on the struggling, the suffering of the Gazan people, but this apartheid genocide really started since 1948, and when I was going back and forth from France into Palestine and Israel, starting in 2005, I got involved with lots of things and manifestations and demonstrations and so forth. So it's not new, and it's getting more of an apartheid state. And what's even strange is before Israel tried to keep it all a secret, and now they're adopting discriminatory apartheid state laws, and they're even out in front with it, including when the October 7th attack came. Gallant, the defense minister, and others voiced genocide. That is to say, we've got to treat these people like human animals, according to wipe them off the face of the earth. So they're making it even known. They're even admitting that it's apartheid state, and they have genocidal intent.
Yeah. It's definitely there. Right, the Freedom Flotilla, which is massively important, it was due to leave Gaza from Turkey in April. Has it been delayed, or is the aid on its way currently?
Unfortunately, and the aid is needed right now, especially since the Rafah Gate and Kerem Shalom are closed. But no, unfortunately, we're all set to go. I was here, and we had almost 500 activists, and 200 were added to us to head out. And we've got 5,500 tons of food and medicine ready to go. And it was stopped. And then we believe it was stopped by the efforts of Israel, who came to Turkey and who pressured the country, which is Guinea-Bissau, to remove their flags from the ship. And this sounds weird. Why do we have to have flags on the ship? Well, it's a Port Authority rule in Istanbul. For the ship to leave, we've got to have the flags of a country. And if they remove the flags, we stall. So the country submitted to the pressure of Israel and removed its flags. And here we are, all ready to go, waiting to get on board and bring that humanitarian aid to Gaza, and we're prevented from doing it.
Do you think that when it does get on its way, that the Israelis will attack the aid convoy?
Probably %. We expect that the boat will be hijacked in international waters of all places, because it's illegal, as you know, Israel, when it comes to international law and humanitarian law, they're absolutely acting with impunity, but they will hijack the boat in international waters, where we will probably all be hauled to one of the Israeli ports, but hopefully they will take the goods after inspecting them to the Gazan coast, and hopefully the goods will be distributed, but we'll go to jail.
And you'll go to jail and probably be deported again because you were deported from Israel in 2019. What exactly did you do wrong that the Israelis found to be illegal and worthy of deportation then, Frank?
Yes, well, I was living with Bedouins, and I speak Arabic, and living with Bedouins in this corridor. An eastern part of Jerusalem, there's a corridor that divides north and southwest bank, and a lot of Bedouins are living there. And the Israeli government wants to take the land. Of course, the settlers want the land. And I was living in one of the Bedouin villages in that corridor called al-Ahmar. And one day we heard the grumbling of Israeli bulldozers coming, and we knew what that meant. They were there to destroy the village, and this is a permanent village, and they have a permanent school. They're not nomads. These are permanently installed Bedouins that have been there for years. And we had no arms, and we were kind of concerned because we remembered about Rachel Corrie in Gaza being killed for the same reason. The bulldozer ran over her, but we figured, well, we got to do something. So we stood in front of the bulldozers. Fortunately, the bulldozers left, but we were all carted out to jail in Jerusalem. It's called Muscovia prison.
I take it the bulldozers came back later.
Apparently not. In fact, I'm in touch with the villagers every week, and the village is still standing. And you think, well, why? I mean, we're not there. Well, it's not that a lot of other activists came. There were other activists, but this has become an epicenter. This village, al-Ahmar, has been an epicenter for resistance, and I believe the Israeli government, including, believe it or not, Netanyahu, against the advice of people like Bennett and others who really wanted to destroy the village, thought that it would really that would go over the line in doing it, because that would cause so much of a stink that would be detrimental to the Israeli cause. So I think they're just biding their time, and eventually they'll try to destroy it again.
I mean, you mentioned Naftali Bennett there. Who takes over after Benjamin Netanyahu? Because I mean, it was already extremely rocky before October 7th happened. Yes. In Israel. I mean, it just seems like it's going to be further far right for the next leader. Who do you think is going to take over in Israel?
That's a good question. Believe it or not, there might be as far right as Ben-Gvir. He's really building, and small trick of Ben-Gvir, completely far right, but I think probably people are still not ready. And they just don't see that international opinion would be favorable to that. They say, well, even though they really have gone to the right, it's sort of it's very dictatorial in Israel and discriminatorial against non-Jews. I think it will be Gantz or Bennett again, and both of them, at least Bennett, is farther right than Netanyahu, that will take over. I don't think Lapin will take over, even though he's more to the left. People simply are not there yet, and they're into the security thing, and the far right has in control of the political machinery, just like the Republicans under Trump were. Even though many people didn't support Trump, once they get in control of the political machinery, they encrust themselves, entrench themselves, and that's sort of what's happened in Israel.
A lot of people, and this is something that comes up over and over again, a lot of people try and say that basically everything that happens in Israel, all Israelis support it basically across the board. Is that true by what you've experienced in Israel? Do Israeli Jews en masse support the action that's happening at the moment and the way it's happening?
Let me give you an example. I think this will come across more than simply just answering that straight off. Is when I was in jail and I was in Muscovia prison, former Israeli soldiers called Combatants for Peace, which are linked with Breaking the Silence, thousands of former Israeli soldiers left the military and witnessed against their own government and is against the occupation. They are the ones who brought me my stuff from the Bedouin village. They're the ones who brought me a lawyer as well. Just answering the question is, there are many Israeli Jews that are against this far right policy. I disagree with this knee-jerk approach saying, well, look, you voted in Netanyahu with his band of far right lunatics So it must be that all the Israeli people massively support that. It's the same thing when Trump got in control of the United States. You could say, well, gee, he is the very, far right president and dictatorial as well. All Americans kind of must vote for him. It's not true. In reality, again, they get in control of that political machinery and playing politics with the coalitions, like Netanyahu's coalition with Ben Gavir's far right party to stay in power. It's very difficult to pry them out of office, even though there are many people in Israel, I wouldn't say the majority yet, that oppose this government in Israel.
Is one of the main problems that all of these people kind of worship the politics of Zionism, really? Is political Zionism the real issue? And would this whole situation be much easier to solve if political Zionism wasn't the main bread and butter of Israeli politics?
Yes, and to define Zionism, meaning that the Israeli Jews believe in this is their homeland, and the extreme Zion, there are different forms of Zionism. We'll just go to the extreme Zionism. It seems to be in charge of what the government does, believes that we're the chosen few, that non-Jews are inferior to us, and we have the right to this homeland. Just look what happened during the Holocaust, and we have the right to kick out the non-Jews. But this fanatic, extreme right Zionist approach is what's really, skewing things in Israel. Having a homeland, that's the original definition of Zionism. It's not necessarily a bad idea, but when you dominate and you become imperialistic and discriminatory and racist, then we've gone beyond it. So this extreme Zionist approach, far right, discriminatory, racist, vicious approach, if I might add, is what's skewing Israel right now.
Yeah. I got a question from the chat from Dark Commission who says, is Egypt complicit with the genocide, considering they control the Rafah crossing?
Let me answer that also with a personal experience. Recently, I went to or I was set to go to the Egyptian border with cameras and with computers. A few years ago, the Israeli Air Force destroyed the media tower. And so many of the media stations, right, left, and all types and foreign, lost a lot of their equipment. So I was set to go and to bring it to them. And I wasn't given authorization. Why? Because the Israeli soldiers, when I was trying to get authorization, looked on the computer, saw that I had been banned. I've been banned from Israel, and I was in jail, and said, look, get out. You're a terrorist. So to answer that, I don't think it's such a roundabout way to say they are completely complicit with Israel in every way. Sisi definitely is doing business with Israel, politically with Israel. And of course, they have issues with the Muslim Brotherhood that they feel is connected to Hamas in a security way, but they're way over the top with that. I think it's a business thing, and politically complicit with Israel, which means, just like the United States, they are complicit in these war crimes. And someday, hopefully, I could add, and I've already added Obama and Trump to my complaint to the ICC that you noted before. I'm going to add Biden now, and eventually Sisi will also be added as an accomplice to these war crimes.
Dr. Romano, thank you for coming on to explain that to us. Thank you for your work. It's really needed. It makes me tear up, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll be in touch. Keep it going. Keep your work going.
Definitely will. Thank you.
Talk that matters. Johnny Vedmore on today's News Talk, TNT.